So, Harper and Stephanie can defuse bombs now. There are no stops on this race to the bottom, are there? Well, I'm back for another hilarious episode of Gotham Knights. Not sure how long this show is gonna last, but man... There's a part of me that's hoping it goes on for a while, because this show just keeps finding new ways to tickle my funny bone. Idiot teenagers whipping out random crime-fighting skills in every other scene, the trans character getting an entire plot devoted to how well he can pass for a man, watching the light behind Misha Collins' eyes slowly fade to nothingness. I'm sorry, Misha, but you did that to yourself. You should have known what you were in for before you signed on for this thing. And yes, I still maintain that Gotham Knights is unintentional comedic gold, but that doesn't exactly help you now, does it? So episode 3 begins with the Mutant Gang. So named, I can only surmise because they're all Cyclops cosplayers. But the Cyclops from the original Fox X-Men movies. So they've got the red visor and a lot of black leather, and that's it. None of them have mutant powers, at least not ones they displayed on screen. And also, for the record, that's the wrong company, dudes. If you're gonna rip off other characters, at least do it from the company that's employing you, for reasons that continue to elude me. So these clowns are in the middle of stealing weapons, I think, but to be honest, I'm not sure. They unload a bunch of them from a van, and then they drive away, leaving their leader and all the stolen weapons behind. Beats me what he was gonna do with them. He's just standing there with these boxes of weapons alone in the alley without a car now, but that's where Carrie confronts him. Weird time to ask this, I know, but why do Carrie's goggles light up? Wouldn't the lights make it easier for bad guys to, see her? That seems counterproductive to Batman's whole aesthetic, doesn't it? Then again, this is the same Batman who didn't even bother to give Robin a fucking costume to fight crime in, so maybe the Bruce of this universe just didn't give a shit. Anyway, Carrie tries to act like an uber badass when she faces this guy down, and I'm already laughing my ass off. He is literally 3 times her size. Unless Carrie manages to get her hands on that bazooka he just unloaded from the van, this is not going to go well for her. Sure, if this was Batwoman, with her being a girl and him being a man, the laws of reality would be on her side, but it's not. The laws of physics are back in charge now, depending on what scene you're watching, which means Carrie just herself. She throws a batarang, he doesn't even feel it. She throws punches and kicks, and she might as well be shooting spitballs at a tank. He throws her around like a crash test dummy for a minute. She tries some other bat weapon, and the dude catches it in midair. It's not going so well for her. She's about to get flattened like a pancake here. Then, because fighting didn't work, she shoots another cable thing into a circuit box on the wall and fries the guy with an electric shock. She tries to overpower him. She can't do it. She's totally physically outmatched, so she uses her wits to outsmart him instead. There was some uncharacteristic, rudimentary understanding of basic logic and common sense here, which I have to assume was either a complete fluke or the writers trying to lure us into letting our guard down before the really stupid stuff happens. Either way, I'm not falling for it. You've got to try a lot harder than that, assholes. So Carrie stops by the clock tower afterward to crow about her amazing victory, and so the others can validate her for how amazing it was. And Cullen asks if they're called the Mutant Gang because they're actually, mutated, but none of them seem to know or care what the answer is. Presumably because the writers are skirting dangerously close to copyright infringement here, but regardless, Carrie's really happy she took this guy down because the Mutant Gang was the reason she met Batman, so this one meant a lot to her. They exposit her origin again, I'm guessing because the writers thought not that many people watched the first episode, so they will have missed it, but Carrie nopes out pretty quickly when the topic of conversation turns to the pages that got ripped out of one of Bruce's journals. And no, Turner still hasn't figured out who did that because he's only useful when the plot needs him to be. Then Duella mentions how it's got a sting that Turner's dad picked Carrie to be his sidekick instead of him, but only because that's what the episode is about, not so Turner can react to it. Yeah, Turner doesn't react to, well, much of anything. FYI, Duella's crazy eyes are on point. This actress continues to be the most engaging person on the show, and it's not close. The asshole mayor holds a press conference where he does his best Senator Kelly impression, taking credit for the cops arresting the leader of the mutant gang and saying he's deploying more cops to hunt down the rest of those evil mutants. All he needs is a Friends of Humanity bumper sticker on his limo and the transformation will be complete. Then Harvey talks to him so they can exposit how the mayor dropped the charges against the surly plank of wood for the crime of hacking into all the banks that he confessed to last week. You know, the crime that made him an accessory to wanted fugitives and carried a 5-year minimum prison sentence. The crime that Stephanie was actually guilty of, not him. Yeah, the parents stepped in off screen and made a little contribution to the mayor's re-election campaign, and suddenly this guy was all, well, I'm sure the kid learned his lesson and nobody got hurt except for all those decapitated cops, so no harm, no foul. Look, I know that me laughing at this show is not the reaction you writers wanted. I know this guy being crooked is the whole point of the story, but if you go so far to prove it that you're sweeping major plot points from the previous episode under the rug when we're only on episode 3, I'm not sure what other reaction you're expecting. And can we go back to the hacking thing for a minute? Because I am baffled at how pointless that whole thing turned out to be. First, Stephanie gets popped for the hacking. Not because the cops had any proof, they just suspected her of doing it. She correctly pointed out that they had no evidence to charge her with, even though they freaking should have, so she was about to get off scot-free when the surly plank of wood confessed, protecting her from a crime she wasn't going to be charged with anyway, and then to get him off scot-free for it, his parents just opened up the checkbook and bought his way out of trouble. But here's the thing. Harvey found the Batcave earlier in that episode. He found the computer that the hacker did said hacking from, and the surly plank of wood's fingerprints wouldn't be on that computer. You know whose fingerprints were on the computer? Stephanie's. So they had the evidence to charge Stephanie and did absolutely nothing with it. So the surly plank of wood confessing to protect her was even more meaningless than we thought. Not because they both got let off the hook for it, but because Harvey and the cops were idiots. They had the evidence right in front of their faces and it didn't even occur to them. I can't even conceive how you can create characters this stupid. But believe me, it's no coincidence that the writers wanted this plot to just disappear as quickly as possible. Then Stephanie talks to Carrie in the school library. Hey, Turner told me about your secret identity. You know, because he's an idiot. Wow, that damn penis-having mayor really sucks, doesn't he? Another case of a man taking credit for a woman's work.
I'm not about to let a man take credit for a woman's work.
They took the line right out of the original Batwoman trailer. The line that got that trailer downvoted into oblivion. They're not just copy-pasting ideas, now they're reusing actual lines of dialogue from a show that failed. Instead of learning something and moving forward, they just doubled down on the same thing that didn't work last time. Writers, you don't like people laughing at your show. I get it. But you would much prefer me laughing to me going Batwoman on your asses. If you have to copy so much shit to make your show, could you at least copy it from something people actually like? And before you ask, no, X-Men doesn't count. Apropos of nothing, there's a fireplace in the background. What kind of school library has a fireplace? Isn't that kind of dangerous? You know, with all the paper and stuff? On a different show, that would easily be one of the stupider things. Here, background noise. Then the surly plank of wood shows up and invites Stephanie to a gala because his parents just had to pay through the mouth to get him off the hook for a major crime, so of course his punishment is going to a fancy party with lots of rich people. Oh no, anything but that! He'll have to make idle chit-chat about stock portfolios and eat $1,000 an ounce caviar. 5 years in federal pound-me-in-the-ass prison is child's play compared to this. Couldn't you just take his phone away and give him 50 lashes like normal rich people? You monster! Stephanie can't exactly turn down this invitation after he took the fall for her to cover up the writer's jackassery, so it's a date. And Duella thinks that date makes sense. Gotta get the competition off the board after all. Wink. But Turner is not happy about it, and we know that because he makes his outraged face, which you might recognize because it's very similar to his angry face, his confused face, and his sad face. But while they're all in the same room, they might as well talk about the plot. So Turner's been going through Bruce's journal journals, and he's hit a dead end. But since Bruce thought the Court of Owls killed his great-great-granddad, Turner thinks they should look for clues in that cold case. Sounds easy, right? The trail will have only been gathering dust for like a century, give or take. I'm sure there will still be plenty of breadcrumbs to follow. They just have to find a way to steal the case files from the GCPD, which Cullen is going to handle because Cullen is... well, he's whatever the plot needs him to be, just like all these other quote-unquote characters. Then the mutant gang shoots down a GCPD blimp. The blimp crashes into Ace Chemicals and starts a huge fire. Oh my god, the CG in this scene! It's so bad, you have no idea. It honestly looks like graphics that got rejected by PS2 game developers eons ago, then got rejected by film producers at the asylum, and then spent several decades rotting next to those old case files that Cullen is about to steal until the Gotham Knights VFX team found them, dusted them off, and were like, score! Less work for us! Anyway, this was retaliation for the mutants' leader Magneto. Magneto, getting arrested. Carrie's not happy, she's going out after them. Turner wants to go with her, but she shoots him down because his dad didn't want that for him. Meanwhile, Cullen's genius plan, and I use that word loosely, is to infiltrate police headquarters disguised as a cop and using forged documents that he whipped up himself in the school's art room. Oh yeah, it would totally be that easy, wouldn't it? Harper thinks that's insane on account of Cullen's mugshot being plastered all over the city, but Duella's like, no, it's cool. I'll set him up with a fake mustache and a pair of glasses, it'll be fine. And I'd say that's really dumb, but hell, it's more of a disguise than Clark Kent ever needed, so this might not be my hill to die on. Also, Duella stresses to Harper that she's way too overprotective and her brother is a total badass until Harper gets annoyed and goes away. But not for no reason. Duella wants Cullen to do something for her while he's in a building full of people who tried to kill them a couple weeks ago. I'm sure this won't be a needless waste of time at all. Cut to the gala, where Stephanie meets Mr. and Mrs. Surly Plank of Wood. Not much to see here. The mom is nice enough, but the dad's a passive-aggressive dickhead. Moving on. Then we see Carrie breaking into a warehouse, using her night vision goggles to scope the place out, but the lights in the warehouse are on, so beats me why. One of the mutants sneaks up on Carrie from behind with a gun, but then he gets taken out from behind when Turner appears and gives him a little love tap with a metal pole or something. Carrie gets all pissy with Turner about this because now she can't question this guy. Because as we all know, when someone is knocked unconscious, they never, ever wake up. So thanks a lot, Turner. Then she wonders how Turner even found this place. And he found it because when he was a kid, him and Bruce would play One of These Things Is Not Like the Others, which somehow is applicable to detective stuff. It makes sense to the writers for some reason. Also, he says this was the only warehouse in the area where the security lights were off, even though we just saw an exterior shot where the lights were clearly on. But mainly the rocket that shot down the blimp went in a straight line from the warehouse, so let's just go with that. And I'm not sure why the cops couldn't put two and two together, but judging by what happens a little bit later, those doofuses wouldn't know their assholes from a hole in the ground. They do some snooping and very quickly find a van full of empty canisters from Ace Chemicals, which means that the mutant gang shooting down the blimp and crashing it into the factory, thus drawing the attention of the media, the police, and the fire department directly to the factory, was all just an elaborate diversion to cover up the fact that they were, at the same time, robbing the factory. I'm not sure which part of that is more idiotic. The fact that the mutants thought this was a good plan in the first place, or the fact that it actually worked. Either way, these dipshits are never gonna get invited to Asteroid M at this rate. More boring stuff at the gala. Harvey talks to Mr. and Mrs. Surly Plank of Wood. The dad needles him about how he's obviously running for mayor and can't hide it. Harvey and the mom have some kind of history that they don't want her husband to know about. Whatever. Cut to the GCPD, where Cullen walks in the front door wearing a fake mustache and glasses, and no one recognizes him. He was one of Gotham's most wanted last week, and everyone in the precinct might as well be blind. Also, he's wearing a stolen cop uniform. No idea where he got it, but that doesn't make this convincing. Not that it matters, because no one outside of the guy at the front desk even looks twice at him, and that guy does say he'll remember Cullen, but that never comes up again, so the whole thing is pointless. Cut back to the clock tower, where Harper's just hanging out, instead of being at the ready in case her brother needs to make a quick getaway or something. Turner and Carrie bring in all the stuff they found at the warehouse, and high school dropout Harper, who, because the plot says so, is both a chemical expert and an engineering whiz apparently, takes one look at this crap and realizes, oh shit, the mutants are building a poison gas bomb. No doubt to use it as a weapon against the ones responsible for the Genosian genocide. And let's face it, those assholes totally had it coming. But then Duella chimes in like, hey, you know what my dad, the Joker, would do with a poison gas bomb? Fill some giant floats with it and throw a parade? He'd kill a bunch of rich douchebags at a fancy party. Is there anything like that going on tonight? And that's how they figure out what's going on. Not by piecing together clues or anything that might require intelligence. Duella just has a hunch. And because it's almost time for the third act, naturally, she's right on the money. Although, give the writers a little credit, that's still more detective work than Kate Kane usually did. Turner calls Stephanie to warn her, but it's too late. The mutant gang take out the small army of police who are stationed outside the building, just in case the gala happened to be attacked, I guess. I wonder if the Met ever had security like that. Then they barge in on the party in a strangely familiar way, saying they're here to provide the evening's entertainment.
We are tonight's entertainment.
I take it back. Go back to copying Batwoman. And the news guy tells us that the mutants are going to blow their poison gas bomb and kill all of Gotham's rich douchebags unless the mayor releases their leader immediately. Assuming he can't just magnetize the metal bars on his prison cell and free himself, I mean. Turner and Carrie want to go help, but they need Harper to come along because she's the one who knows how to disable bombs. Just go with it. And she takes some convincing. And Duella comes too because, well, she's the best actor and the only one of these chuckleheads who's intentionally funny. If she doesn't do the heavy lifting, it doesn't get done. Back at Police HQ, Cullen has the files, he's on his way out, but the front desk guy tells him to get to the briefing room with everybody else, even though Cullen is pretending to be an officer from a different precinct, because rich white people are in trouble, and that means it's all hands on deck. So Cullen goes to the briefing room, sits down in a room full of cops, and this goes absolutely nowhere. No one recognizes him. We don't even see what happens. You could have cut that scene and no one would have even noticed. And after the crisis, Cullen shows up back at the clock tower. Easy peasy. Thanks, writers. This subplot was really worth it. The others sneak into the gala building through old abandoned subway tunnels or something, and Stephanie lets them in. Not sure how she snuck away from all the machine gun toting mutants. Maybe the ruby quartz visors make it hard for them to see. They literally find the bomb 2 seconds later. And Harper takes one look at this thing and decides that if they move it, it'll blow up. Harper knows a lot about bombs, okay? Don't think about it too much. The mayor orders someone on the phone to do what the mutants want and release Magneto. Him and Harvey do some dick measuring about this. The mayor says this place is surrounded by cops and the bad guys aren't getting out of here anyway, so they're gonna get the better end of this, but Harvey still doesn't like it. As luck would have it, the Gotham Knights just happen to have 2 bomb experts on the team, Harper and Stephanie. But oh no, they're not getting along. One's a rich girl and one's from the wrong side of the tracks. They're arguing they can't decide which wire to cut because they can't put aside their petty teenage differences. Never mind the fact that their lungs will be turned inside out if they don't. That's not important right now. The one thing they can agree on is that the bomb has no off switch. So if they can't defuse it, anyone not packing a gas mask is gonna sound like me by the time I finish recording these videos. Also, they'll be dead and stuff. They've gotta warn everybody somehow, but no one's gonna listen to them. They're fugitives. So Turner disguises himself with a visor they took off one of the mutants, and so easily I nearly spit out my drink from laughing. He sneaks Harvey away from the bad guys and into a private room. He does some expositing about the Court of Owls and everything else, and Harvey doesn't really buy it, but decides to trust Turner because the climax is almost over at this point, so he kind of has to. And Harvey does tell the mayor, but then the mayor just calls bullshit because Harvey wants his job and does what the bad guys want anyway. This is the clown Harvey Harvey's hesitant to run against for mayor of Gotham? Come on, man, I'd jump in the race out of pure spite after this fiasco. While this is happening, Carrie and Duella are busy taking down the Brotherhood and the Acolytes, but that's off screen so we never see it. Too bad, I bet it was hilarious to watch. So the mutants leader gets released, and then they get ready to detonate the bomb anyway just to be dicks about the whole thing, but Harvey rushes the asshole with the remote. Despite all the mutants having machine guns, not a single one takes a shot at him, so Carrie has time to take them out too. Harvey and this dude roll around on the floor for a minute, the bad guy gets the detonator back, but Stephanie cuts the wire just in time, and of course our newly minted bomb defusing expert picked the right one, so the bomb is deactivated, the cops rush in, and the day is saved. Not that you'd know it from the way Harper reacts to all this though. She is extremely butthurt that Stephanie stepped on her toes by cutting that wire. Forget about the fact that if Stephanie hadn't done that, they'd all be dead. Harper doesn't care about that so much. She's more put out about how Stephanie took a risk with her life and didn't give Harper a chance to prove that her way of defusing the bomb would have worked, because Stephanie is just a rich snob and all she does is look down on people like Harper, and she storms out of there, leaving Stephanie feeling something. Befuddled? I don't fucking know. Harper, I'm going to put this as politely and tactfully as I can. Shut your idiot bitch mouth, you belligerent, paint-sniffing twat waffler. The fact that Stephanie's way worked is a pretty good indicator that your way wouldn't have. You weren't acting quickly enough to do it the way you wanted before the bomb blew up, so it was Stephanie's way or nothing. Stephanie has never once played the rich girl card or acted like she was above you in any way, shape, or form, and the correct response after someone saves your life from a poison gas bomb when you weren't thinking fast enough to do it yourself is thank you. Yeah, Harper's really annoying this week. And the up thing is, I'm not entirely sure that we weren't supposed to be on her side here. Good luck with that one, dummies. So the mutants leader got away, but all the other bad guys got caught. Harvey's the big hero, and Duella made off with a bag full of all the rich people's shiny things. And in that bag, among other stuff, are more Court of Owls watches. Unfortunately, there were a couple hundred guests at the gala, so that doesn't really narrow it down that much. But hey, here's a crazy thought. Why not ask Carrie to narrow it down? What if Carrie is a double agent for the Court of Owls? She was the one who told you about Bruce's journals in episode 2. Getting the journals was her idea. For some reason, Talon knew exactly where and when to find you, even though you bypassed all the security in Wayne Tower. Only 5 of you knew you were going in there, and the only way Talon would have known is if someone told him. So one of those 5 people must have told him, and I'm pretty sure that person is not any of the Gotham Knights the Court of Owls has been trying to kill. Now, of course, if this is true, then a lot of Carrie's other behavior doesn't make any sense, but it's either that or major plot points. Those are your options, writers. Take your pick. But given that you were already retconning major plot points in this episode, I think I know which one you're leaning toward. Carrie's upset that the mutants leader escaped. It is so freaking awkward that they keep calling him that. He has a name, just call him by his name. Turner admits that he's jealous of Carrie because she's so good at this crime fighting thing, and because she got to be Robin and see a side of his dad that Turner didn't. But Carrie's jealous of Turner because he got to see the dad's side of Bruce, whereas Carrie's dad died a long time ago. Which means nothing to us because we're just learning about that now. The actress is trying here, but the writers aren't making this easy for anybody. So they have a bonding moment, and I guess Carrie's gonna let Turner help her crime fight now. The thing Duella wanted Cullen to get for her was a Joker playing card so she doesn't forget how much she hates her dad. Harper begrudgingly admits that Cullen is the bravest person ever, and maybe she doesn't have to be so overprotective. Now she just has to apologize to Stephanie for being such a bitch about Stephanie having the audacity to save her life, and she'll be in good shape. Then Harvey holds a press conference finally announcing that he's running for mayor, and the current mayor finds a Court of Owls coin in his limo, which instantly fills with poison gas. I guess the court decided that Harvey's their guy now, or maybe the members who were at the gala just didn't appreciate having their shiny things stolen. Either way, I don't really care. This was another run-of-the-mill CW stupid episode, which is a damn far cry from being good or even competent, but God help us, is an improvement over where we were with the CW for the last 3 years. I will take that over a Batwoman Bad episode any day of the week. There are a couple things about this that at the very least lift it out of the septic tank that Caroline Dries would normally reside in. Characters are allowed to have flaws, and I can only hope learn something from them, maybe. The writers do attempt, in their own special way, to make the characters not utterly loathsome though they don't always succeed. I'm looking at you, Harper. And yes, the show is still a freaking riot, but honestly, the entire plot is so sophomoric and so fucking dumb, it genuinely plays like Tumblr fanfic written by 9-year-olds. A bomb is defused by two bickering teenage girls, the trans kid disguising himself as an adult man in a precinct full of cops who have been looking for him for weeks and no one being the wiser, two idiot teenagers deducing stuff the cops should have quickly figured out themselves if it were that easy. This really does seem like little kids copying the CW formula to write lame-ass fanfic so they can project themselves onto the main characters. And sure, the kids are trying, but they just don't have the maturity to account for a plot that takes any kind of actual intelligence to pull off. The ironic part being, by little kid standards, this would be better than you'd expect from people that age. Hell, for kids, this would be worth a gold star and a participation trophy, but it was written by grown-ass adults who do this for a living. Someone paid them money to write poison gas bomb is diffused by two bickering teenage girls. And the fact that they're also blatantly, obviously, nakedly copying/ripping off so many other things and not even being subtle about it just shows how few original ideas, good or bad, these clowns actually have. So by adult standards, the only thing this show has going for it is how unintentionally hilarious the whole thing is. And granted, they are getting a surprising amount of mileage out of that, but it can't last forever. Eventually, the so bad it's funny novelty will wear off. You can see it happening already. And then they'll just be left with a painfully embarrassing shit show that isn't even embarrassing in a funny way anymore. Maybe if they're really lucky though, they'll get canceled before that happens. Thanks so much for watching. While you're here, do all the other YouTube things. Ding the bell icon and follow my social media so you can always be notified when I upload new stuff. The links are down there. Thumbs up the video and leave a comment. It really helps out against that big red son of a bitch YouTube algorithm. Share the video, subscribe, make sure you're still subscribed, and I'll be back with more soon. So take care, stay tuned, I'll see you next time.